So I'm just out here watering the trees out here in the orchard. And there's these 3 little young birds, 4 of them, there were 4. They flew over to another tree just now, but they're chirping. Oh, there's 3. They're young. They're those little catbirds. There's another one. And their mom keeps coming by and feeding them a little bit of good stuff. And they're kind of just hanging out in this tree. That's kind of cool, huh? And the moles have taken a liking to this peach tree that's already suffering from curly leaf. This tree just cranks out peaches. Just all over, the whole tree is just covered in peaches everywhere you look. The problem is, the moles like to get in there down in the roots and chew up the roots and mess with the plant. They've done that with several of my trees, to the point where they even kill the tree or knock it back a peg. So kind of the idea is that I'm flood irrigating this particular tree well. I don't always do that, but this time I am. And then there's some what we call mullein, Indian toilet paper. It's a good medicinal herb. So cherry trees are taking off. All those red leaves are new leaves. There's another one. The tree's actually dropping a lot of small peaches. It's dropping a lot of peaches off onto the ground. Here's one of the holes. Stick a flare down that hole. Another one. Yeah, so what they do is they get in here next to the base of the tree and they chew the bark off the tree because it's loaded with sugar. Chew the bark all the way around the roots. They'll chew off all the big roots, and then the tree will get sick because it's not getting enough water and nutrients to fight off germs, and then it eventually dies. So I'm really concerned about this peach tree. I've actually cloned it several times because if it dies, I want to be able to replant. And so the way I'm dealing with that is I'm coming over here. I learned this from Mark. From where I work. He's a master gardener, but he plants his new trees in a chicken wire basket, and I've done that with all my new trees. There's another one, and these moles can be highly destructive. So this is them trying to live next to the lavender, and you can see they don't really like lavender roots, but they will still cause a lot of devastation. Like there's another spot and another spot all the way around this lavender, and you can see the blossoms are shriveling up, so they're causing problems with this lavender. And I have another lavender plant over here. I water it pretty heavily, and it's not doing so bad because the moles haven't gone around and rototilled the entire circumference of the plant. And so I'm trying to plant somewhat toxic plants mixed in here. Like we have elderberry. Those are elderberry. And then we have pomegranate. And then elderberry, pomegranate. Elderberry, pomegranate. Elderberry, pomegranate. And interspersed through all this is aloe vera. And the aloe vera, this particular strain of aloe vera likes to grow shoots off the sides. So I harvested all these aloe vera plants all the way down the fence line, all the way down that way, from one bush of aloe vera. I just stomped the branches off the main bush and then used a post hole digger, and half of that stalk is in the dirt growing roots and the other half is sticking out of the ground. We got pomegranate, elderberry, pomegranate, prickly pear cactus, elderberry, elderberry, pomegranate. So it's going to be kind of cool looking when it's all done, because we're going to have red blossoms on one bush, the pomegranate bush, and then cream yellow polka dots on the elderberry. And they both kind of go dormant in the winter, drop all their leaves, and they kind of grow like bushes, and you can train them both to grow like trees or bushes either way. So they make a nice hedge, kind of corral in your little garden. Because the whole idea with this place is that this whole front yard here is going to be like a little Garden of Eden. It's going to be a food jungle. And the most recent tree that I planted here is something I grew from a walnut tree. And I've kind of let one spur branch grow off. And so I planted that walnut 2 years ago into a planter pot, and it's been growing pretty good. So I decided to stick it in the ground and let those roots run wild, because they were starting to approach the bottom of the planter pot. And again, when you put bees in the yard, you can double your yield. So there's a bunch of bees hanging out watching the front door. This nuke, 2-frame mini mating nuke, is completely stuffed full of bees, because I moved a highly productive hive, that tall green one over there, from this spot to over there, and I gave the foragers right here a frame of eggs, a frame of honey, and a whole lot of foragers and some nurse bees. So that's going to generate a queen. It's going to take another 2 weeks or so, and we're going to have a queen in there, and it's going to be a nice strong queen. And then I'll be able to take that and transfer it into a 5-frame nuke. I could probably do it now, but I'm going to let them stay cramped so they are hard pressed to generate a queen. So those dark green ones in the middle there, those are going to be 5-frame nukes. So I'm going to start generating nukes. And I learned this all from Tim Dauber from Bee Friendly and Dave from Barnyard Bees. And then also from my own studies and experiments and stuff too. So I've put to practice what I've learned and come to understand a few things about bees anyway. So once all these fruits start really going ripe, then we're going to start making beer and wine, and taking it to Early Girl Farms over there in Monterey. Or Happy Girl Farms. And we're going to can a lot of it too. And pickle and ferment and do a bunch of stuff. So trees are doing well. We try to use the horse manure to fertilize the soil. So I just sprinkle the horse manure in a wide radius around the base of the tree. And what that does is it allows worms to bring down the, natural material, decaying horse manure, slowly into the soil. And so some of it's from the chickens, some, around these cherry trees, it's from the chickens, some of it's from the goats, and some of it's from her, the horse manure. So, and here's a couple examples of what horse manure and chicken manure and goat manure mixed with sand does for your garden. Some of this is corn that the horse came along and chewed off, so that's something you got to deal with if you let your horse open graze, because you kind of got to protect your vegetables. Look at these tomatoes. potatoes, what I was trying to do is grow nightshade family members in this particular planter pot. So it was potatoes, yams, tomatoes. I mixed a couple stalks of corn in there, and you can see that potatoes are straight popping out of the ground. We're gonna have a lot of potatoes. That whole planter pot's gonna be loaded, completely stacked with potatoes. And it's kind of an update. There's some old supers. Poppies are doing well. Peppers and onions are slow to grow, but once they take off and get established, they do really, really well. So we got a couple ones that we planted that we acquired from the store. And then all these little ones are a mix of habaneros, jalapenos, any kind of seeds that I gathered and saved from other organic gardens, or else peppers and onions that we bought from the store where there was a little bit of roots or there was seeds. We saved them. And these are just volunteer heirloom tomatoes. They're like candy. They're real sweet and sugary. Alright, so it's going to take them a little time to get started, but once all these start really taking root and taking off, you're going to see that they'll start getting real hardy. And you can see these plants are happy. They're just kind of exposed, and so they're starting off a little slow. And then this is all different types of melon, pumpkin. They're all heirloom pumpkins and melons in here. And there's not enough room they're all fighting for sunlight, and they're just taking off. So what we're doing here is we're actually letting them spill over. Oh, by the way, here's some oregano. I just planted the oregano today. But they spill over the edge, and they just send runners all the way across the lawn. So here's a runners, 3 of them right here. More runners. And I mean, these things are already pumping out melons of some kind. I don't know. We'll have to find out when they're ready, because I don't know what they are, because there's so many mixed in. And it's hard to say what they are. It could be crookneck squash, they could be jumbo pumpkin, who knows? So that's kind of fun. So anyway, here's the farm. And my old Jeep sold to the neighbors.